So one of the issues with parenting is we find ourselves saying things to our kids that we know are wrong. We give them different labels. We uh, say things that are harsh and sharp to them. What do we do about that? I think one of the things that is really helpful is to recognize when we're convicted by that, that's actually the Spirit of God at work. That's something then to, even though we've done something really awful with our children, to recognize, okay, God has not left us. He's not abandoned us. He's actually present right now in this moment. And that is worth celebrating. Whenever God's on the move, you need to celebrate. Secondly, obviously, you need to stop. But part of that stopping is the awareness that what I'm doing is I am taking an image of God and I am putting a label onto them. I'm defining who they are and how they are to act. I think of one family, they had a number of kids, and then they had their littlest one who was very active and very energetic, and she would tear all around. They took to calling her the little monster. And it was one of those ha-ha kind of labels, but they started to realize we are actually framing the way that she will think about herself in a derogatory kind of way, in a demeaning kind of way. And we don't want her to grow into that. And so part of the change was recognizing that. Part of it ought to be apologizing for that. But then what do you do with that? You have to reimagine. Okay, what's upsetting us? The high level of activity, the high level of energy. Well, that isn't something that we actually built into her. That was a gift given to her by God. We are called by the Lord to channel that, but there's actually something there that reflects him. She's made in his image, and therefore there's a piece of him that's actually coming out as. It may be coming out in an unhealthy way, a twisted way, broken way, but there's something there that comes from the giver of all life, and something then that we have to understand how to think about. And so it's part of our job as parents to look at our children, to look at all of the gifts that they have, not just the ones that we happen to like, but look at all of the gifts and start to understand how can those gifts be used by the Lord. For instance, I remember talking to one of our children, sitting them down, young person who had demonstrated for quite a number of years that stubbornness was a real trait. And stubbornness is a trait that runs in that child's father and then passed on down through the line. And I remember sitting down with them one time and I said to them, just in a very matter-of-fact kind of way, you're stubborn. You don't back down easily. That's probably always going to be true of you in some way or other. So make sure that you're stubborn about the right things, because that's actually a gift from the Lord. It's the kind of thing that you want to do. So if someone is hyperactive, what's that being used for? Is that some way that they'll be a person who serves others? Is that more of an athletic kind of a gifting? Or the person who just seems to talk endlessly? And you think, okay, how can that be channeled? Is this something that the Lord will use to help influence other people in a positive direction? Is that something that the Lord will use to connect other people with each other? But you want to recognize that these things that can be so irritating in the moment are actually something that, if they will blossom and flower and are tended well, can actually be used by the Lord for great glory. And when you see that and you're able to put a better label on it, what are you doing now? You're now offering that gift to your child. And you're saying, this is part of what God has done in you. And we want to make sure that you take care of that well. And so not only then are you helping them understand who they are with respect to the Lord, you're also helping them understand how they fit into the community of God's people and how they can be better used by the Lord within that community. And then I think you want to enter into that with them.